Everybody talks about what turns a man on, but hardly anyone wants to talk about what turns him off. And I'm not talking about small stuff. I'm talking about those little behaviors that make a man step back and go, hold up, I thought she was different. You see, attraction is fragile. It don't die because she's not beautiful. It dies because the vibe changed. Most women don't realize that attraction can end faster than it starts because of subtle behavior that changes a man's perception. You see, sometimes it's not the big, loud mistakes that make a man pull away. It's the small, unspoken things, the tone of your voice, the way you carry yourself, the energy you bring into a room. Men might not be experts in communication, but they're experts in feeling energy. They can sense when something's off, when a woman's spirit changes from confident to uncertain, from inviting to defensive. And that shift, even if it's small, can make a man rethink everything. A man might meet a woman and be completely drawn to her. The smile, the attitude, the way she lights up a room. But after a while, that same light can start to dim if her energy turns into doubt, control, or insecurity. You might think you're being caring when you ask a lot of questions or when you constantly check in. But to him, it can start to feel, like pressure. That quiet pressure builds and turns into a wall between you and him. And once a man starts feeling like he's losing his freedom, even emotionally, he begins to back off, not because he doesn't like you anymore, but because he feels the peace he had when he met you slipping away. Attraction is fragile, and most people don't talk about that enough. It's like a spark. It burns bright, but if you smother it with too much, it dies. When a woman overthinks every move, tries to predict every reaction, and constantly wonders what he's feeling, she ends up creating the very distance she's afraid of. A man might not understand why he's not feeling the same anymore, but deep down, he knows something's changed. He's not drawn to that same easy flow he once felt. Instead, he feels watched, analyzed, or judged, and that's when he starts to shut down. See, most women have no idea how powerful they are in shaping how a man feels in their presence. Men don't fall for words. They fall for peace, confidence, and energy. When a woman is secure in herself, she doesn't need to perform. She doesn't need to prove anything. She just is. That's what captivates a man, not the perfection, but the authenticity. It's the woman who laughs freely, who's kind without being desperate, who shows love without losing herself. That's the woman who holds his attention without even trying. The truth is, attraction fades when the balance between mystery and comfort disappears, when a man feels like he's got no room to breathe, or when he feels constantly tested, his attraction turns into frustration. And once a man feels frustrated, his focus shifts not on the connection, but on finding peace again. That's when he starts to disconnect emotionally. The woman thinks he's losing interest out of nowhere, but it's really been building quietly over time through those subtle behaviors. So many women lose good men because they don't recognize these small, invisible mistakes, the ones that happen when they stop being present and start being afraid. The fear of losing him makes them act in ways that drive him away. They overtalk, overthink, overgive. But attraction doesn't grow in fear, it grows in confidence. The more you relax, the more you allow things to flow, the stronger his connection to you becomes. Because to a man, there's nothing more magnetic than a woman who trusts herself enough to let love come naturally. Confidence and class draw a man in. Insecurity and control push him out faster than anything. When a woman walks with confidence, it's not just about her appearance, it's about her energy. It's the quiet strength that says, I know who I am, and I don't need anyone to validate it. That's what makes a man take notice. Confidence isn't arrogance, it's peace. It's when a woman is comfortable in her own skin, when she doesn't compete with others, and when she carries herself like she belongs in every room she walks into. That kind of confidence has gravity. It pulls people in without effort. A man feels safe, admired, and intrigued around that kind of woman because she radiates self-respect, and that respect makes him want to rise to her level. But when insecurity steps in, the energy shifts. You can be the most beautiful woman in the room, but if your spirit carries insecurity, it shows. It shows in the way you question everything he says, in the way you assume the worst, and in the way you seek constant reassurance. A confident woman believes in the connection she's building, while an insecure woman doubts. Even when it's going well, that doubt becomes exhausting over time. Men don't always explain it, but they start to feel like they're walking on eggshells, afraid to say the wrong thing, afraid to not text fast enough, afraid that any small mistake will start an argument, and eventually that fear kills the attraction. Class, on the other hand, is what separates a woman who's temporary from one who's timeless. Class isn't about money or style, it's about self-control. It's about how she reacts when things don't go her way. It's about how she speaks to people, how she carries herself when she's angry, and how she handles disappointment. A classy woman doesn't lose her composure over every small thing. She values her peace more than proving a point. That calm strength is what makes a man admire her deeply. She doesn't chase, she attracts. She doesn't demand attention, she commands respect just by being herself. The problem comes when insecurity leads to control. The moment a woman starts trying to manage everything a man does, when she checks his phone, questions his every move, or keeps testing his loyalty, she's no longer leading with confidence. She's leading with fear. And fear never builds love. It destroys it. A man starts to feel like he's losing his freedom, like he's being smothered instead of supported. And when a man feels trapped, his instinct is to escape. It's not because he doesn't care. It's because no man can thrive in an environment where he feels constantly distrusted. Confidence and class don't mean pretending to be perfect. They mean knowing you don't have to chase what's already meant for you. When a woman understands that, her energy shifts completely. She stops begging for love and starts attracting it. Men can feel that energy instantly. It's powerful, feminine, and grounded. That's the kind of woman who not only draws a man in, but keeps his respect long after the first spark fades. Men notice actions more than words. How a woman handles herself, her attitude, and her respect level say everything. See, a man might hear what you say, but what really speaks to him is how you carry yourself when no one's watching. You can tell a man you respect him, but if your tone, your reactions, or your attitude say otherwise, he believes your actions every time. Men are observers by nature. They pay attention to patterns. They might not call you out on every detail, but they store it in their minds. How you talk to waiters, how you treat your friends, how you act when things don't go your way. That tells them more about who you are than any conversation ever could. When a woman carries herself with grace and self-respect, it sends a silent message that she's someone of value. She doesn't have to explain what she deserves because it's already clear in the way she moves. A man sees how she handles conflict, and he knows she's not about chaos. He watches how she talks to others, and he realizes she's genuine. He notices how she reacts under pressure, and he understands she's emotionally mature. Those small things speak louder than any declaration of love or loyalty, because a man wants peace, not perfection. And peace is seen in how you conduct yourself, not just in what you say. The truth is, words are easy. Anyone can say the right thing when the moment feels good. But consistency, that's what builds attraction and trust. If a woman says she's confident but constantly criticizes herself, a man senses the contradiction. If she says she trusts him but keeps checking his actions, he feels the doubt. That inconsistency makes him question whether the relationship is built on truth or performance. And once that question enters a man's mind, his emotional connection begins to fade. Because to him, actions define everything. Respect plays a huge role in how a man feels toward a woman. Respect doesn't mean submission or silence. It means consideration. It's how you speak to him, especially in moments of disagreement. A man can take correction, but he can't take humiliation. When a woman speaks with respect, even when she's upset, he feels safe. He feels seen. But when a woman tears him down, mocks him, or uses her words as weapons, she may win the argument but lose the connection. Men remember how a woman makes them feel, not just in love, but in conflict. A man doesn't need a woman who says all the right things. He needs one whose actions reflect sincerity. A woman who's kind, calm, and composed stands out because she shows emotional intelligence, something rare and valuable. Men crave that kind of energy. It doesn't scream for attention. It earns it naturally. A woman's attitude can either lift a man up or slowly drain his spirit. And when she shows through her behavior that she's stable, respectful, and confident, that's when he knows she's different. Because actions don't just attract a man, they make him stay. Trying too hard to impress often backfires. Authenticity and self-respect are what make a woman unforgettable. The truth is, when a woman starts trying to be what she thinks a man wants, she loses the very thing that made her attractive in the first place, her realness. At first, it might seem like effort pays off. She laughs at all his jokes, agrees with everything he says, bends her plans just to fit his schedule. But over time, a man starts to feel something's missing. He can't quite put his finger on it, but he senses that the woman he's spending time with isn't fully being herself. That disconnect makes the attraction fade, not because she's doing something wrong, but because she's not being true to who she really is. See, men are drawn to authenticity more than perfection. A woman who knows who she is and isn't afraid to show it stands out in a world full of people trying to copy each other. When she speaks her truth with kindness, when she has her own opinions, when she's not afraid to disagree respectfully. That's what gets a man's attention. A woman who respects herself enough to keep her individuality becomes magnetic. A man doesn't fall for a mirror version of himself. He falls for someone who has her own mind, her own energy, her own rhythm. That's what keeps him curious and invested. When a woman tries too hard, it comes from fear. Fear of not being enough, fear of losing him, fear of being alone. But fear-based energy never builds connection. It only builds dependency. A man might appreciate the attention at first, but eventually he starts to feel the pressure. He begins to sense that the woman's actions aren't coming from confidence, but from anxiety, and that pressure makes him pull away. Men can feel when love is being given freely and when it's being used as a way to hold on. Real attraction comes from confidence, not convincing. Self-respect is the foundation of feminine power. A woman who respects herself sets the tone for how others treat her. She doesn't chase validation or beg for love. She allows people to meet her where she stands. That quiet strength tells a man, I value myself enough to walk away from what doesn't value me. And that's the kind of woman who earns a man's respect instantly. He knows she's not with him because she needs him. She's with him because she wants him. That difference changes everything. At the end of the day, the woman who tries too hard loses her glow, while the woman who simply shows up as herself shines without effort. A man can tell when a woman's confidence is real and when it's a mask. Authenticity feels easy, pretending feels heavy. And when a woman moves with self-respect, honesty, and grace, she becomes unforgettable, not because she's perfect, but because she's real. Men want peace, not pressure, emotional chaos, constant testing, and drama drain attraction. You can have the prettiest smile, the best sense of humor, or the most loving heart, but if a man feels like every moment with you turns into a test or a battlefield, he'll eventually pull away just to breathe. Men don't run from love. They run from confusion. They run from the feeling that no matter what they do, it's never enough. Peace to a man is everything. When he finds a woman who brings him calm, who doesn't turn every small issue into a storm, he holds on tight because that kind of peace is rare in a world full of noise. A woman's energy sets the tone for the connection. If she comes with understanding instead of accusation, patience instead of panic, and clarity instead of games, a man naturally feels safe.